What is up guys, Kane here, and in this video we're going to go over the dwarf race for early to mid game. Now first things first, as you can see, the dwarf city view is one of the ugliest in the game itself. And this kind of puts me off from playing this race altogether. However, if you can get the view aside, the dwarf race is pretty good both in the events and they're quite decent in PvP as well, with a plethora of other things. So to start, one of their biggest strengths, let's say, are the amount of events that they can participate on, and quite a few of them are one of the main ones that give the highest amount of Linari, and that being city destruction ones. So on new servers, when I think the first 3 months, you're going to get city destruction events in here every weekend. It's rotating with the golem invasion, and you will be able to earn about 2,600 Linari for rank 1. Rank 2 is like 2,000, but it also depends on your rank in the kingdom. So if you're rank 1 in the kingdom, that's 650. If you're rank 1 in the world, it's a little bit higher as well. So like I said, it's all based on how much you participate in the event, how fast you destroy, and all those kinds of things. And it's one of the main two events that give the most Linari. The second thing is the castle defense. It's probably the second best in the game. The Deadeyes are insanely strong, and most players attacking you will always suffer a lot of casualties. I mean, the only people who may not suffer a lot of casualties is probably the same level human, or, a stronger person altogether. Because these Deadeyes have a percent chance to headshot a target, dealing 70 times more damage, and if you can see the attack, if you have proper stats on your Deadeyes, they're going to have a lot, and I do mean a lot of casualties. Now going towards the next one, the Deadeyes. The ranged army is probably one of the stronger army units in the game. Yes, they can be countered, yes, they carry so much damage, however, if you don't counter them, and to counter them you can have a variety of spells, a variety of dragons. So the simplest of examples would be going to heroes, right? One moment. Would be taking Cleo and going to the abilities and going to the Tome of Creation. She turns the target area into a black hole, creating a large gravitational field, and enemies get CC'd for 6.5 seconds. On level 5, it's 7 seconds. If that's not enough, there is a couple of more. Just need to find them. Yeah, again. So there is a skill called Earthquake. So for 10 seconds, he damages a specific, let's say, place on the ground, and it greatly lowers the attack speed and movement speed of enemy units, which reduces a lot, and I do mean a lot, of the ranged unit damage. Do you believe there are a couple more heroes? Can't really remember from the top of my head at the moment, but from what I know, you can also use this. This lantern also reduces the attack, also reduces the attack speed, and all those kinds of things. So there is a lot of things that you can counter enemy ranged units on. I mean, the last example, and probably the best one, would be showing you a dragon. However, I do not have a black dragon at the moment. So you can have a dragon like this with Greater Dreambreaker, Graviton Surge, which is like Cleo's Black Balls, but it's 3. And also, he doesn't have the other specific one, which is 1 second, which would be the Eternal Void. So when your units die in the battle, you have a chance to summon a small black hole, which increases in size for the large and massive units, and they are CC'd for, I don't know, 2.5 seconds, 5 seconds, it doesn't really say. So there is a lot of things that you can counter them, but if you don't counter them, then they can do insane amounts of damage both in PvE and in PvP. And one of the bigger ones, I think, is that they are one of the two races that only require two army units to be focused and on train. Meaning most of your research time can just be on two army units, upgrading them fairly quickly. So, as you know, I am playing Rakan, and I have, let's say, research based something around 2 units. Or rather, mainly 2 army units, and then I have to have the turtle upgraded as well to a decent place. So he would heal these 2 units with a lot, and I do mean a lot of health. Like, I don't think that there is a better healer than a turtle yet in this game. And if you don't need to focus on the turtle, then you can spend days and days of your time, upgrading, let's say, the 13 skill, can start upgrading the 14s on them as well, which increases accuracy, crit chances, and all those kinds of things. So they're one of the better races, at least in my opinion, and at least for the newer players. But personally, I just cannot handle this view. Weaknesses, the ugly city, we have already explained it quite a lot of times. And the other one is probably one of the biggest one, that it requires a lot of heroes to get going in PvP, but not the PvE part. And one of their main heroes, Jack specifically, is only acquirable by $10. There is no other free way like all the other heroes. Now, probably some of you don't know who Jax is, and some part in the game, this game was known as the Art of Jax, because there were no buffs to army, no dragons, all that kinds of things, so this hero was the strongest one in the game, and anyone who didn't have it literally could not win any PvP. But now, this hero is very lackluster, is probably one of the weakest heroes in the game. But the dwarf race still needs him for specific things like the mech expert. So you need a skill at level 10 so your mechs would survive. Now I'm not entirely sure which building it actually is. 1 second. This is the tank. God damn it. Yeah, so these are the mechs. So the mechs will be your frontline if you do intend on playing the dwarves. Not the miners, which I showed before, but the mechs, because they can take a lot of damage, they can take a lot of range damage, and they also will do a decent amount of, let's say, frontline damage. They're immune to morale, they do not run away, all those kinds of things. And this, as well as the Deadeyes together, makes them a pretty decent, let's say, threat both in PvP and in quite a lot of events. Now moving towards the events that they're good at. So, as explained before, city destruction and honor events, they're one of the main events in the game in terms of earning the Linari by competition, and these ones, they give the most. You also can craft a lot of, let's say, flawless items the further you go into the game, and flawless items being, let's say, the red equipment on your heroes. So I have quite a bit of heroes with the red equipment almost fully done. As you can see, some of them which I don't use, I haven't really focused that much, but most of the others that I do use, they are mostly only full red gears. So another thing is the Barnford Swamp. This is a 3-man event, and I believe from Castle 20 to 35, they were doing insane amounts of damage and they were insanely quick. I haven't used them myself, but I seen 3 people contesting us when we were a lot higher power with almost the same amount of time. And we were playing human, sylph, and I think Rakan. But we were killing those things in a pretty decent rate. I wouldn't say that we were the weakest. So I'm not sure if it's descales from these events and other races overtake them, but from what I have seen, the dwarves are insanely good in this particular event. Purify Nor, this is a questionable thing. At the moment, the Rakans take the top spot, at least in my own opinion, but not many people use the Dwarf Bombers. And Dwarf Bombers is, I think, where is it? This building. Yeah, so the Dwarf Bombers, you can activate their skill and they spend all of their ammo in like 5 seconds, literally blasting everything in their sight. So if you have these bombers, it could potentially mean that Purify Nor event could be done in earlier than 10 seconds. Now again, I'm not sure how true this is, but I have seen those events happen in like 6 to 10 seconds, so perhaps this can be done, perhaps not. We will see in the future. And you can also use dwarfs competitively in a couple more events, but I can't remember the events in particular, like their names, so probably we're going to leave that for later, or if I do remember, I will leave it somewhere down in the comments below of this video, or in the description itself. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys, and stay safe out there.